Welcome to the Alternative Products Podcast, the ultimate hub for counterculture enthusiasts and innovators. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we've got you covered. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the world of alternative products together.
So here we are with our next episode of the podcast. We have Carlos with Vape Ranger. Carlos, what can you explain to the audience about Vape Ranger, what you guys are doing here at the show, and the product that you have in front of us here as well?
Pleasure to be here, man.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to be chatting with you. So Vape Ranger is vaperanger.com. It's a very large online wholesale and distributor of hemp, smoke shop, and obviously vape disposables.
Yep.
And we really consider ourselves a one-stop shop for a number of different businesses. We do business with thousands of different stores on a monthly basis. We've been in existence for about 10 years, and we're doing very well. And we sell a lot of the best sellers in the industry. We have a lot of great relationships, and we've seen a lot. And we have some experience also launching our own product last year. And so we have a lot of interesting insight into what works and what doesn't work. So 3 weeks ago, we just launched what's called the VerseBar Pearl. This guy right here.
All right.
Dude, and it absolutely blew out, just completely. We weren't expecting it at all. We had bought like 2 months worth of product.
Oh, wow.
Just trying to figure out how much do we need to keep in stock, and we literally sold it out in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you guys are mainly distributors, wholesale. Do you manufacture at all?
So we don't directly manufacture.
Yep.
We worked with a partner in China to produce this product.
Okay.
And our last one, the Wellverse, that launched 2022. Sorry, my calendar's a little off.
Okay. And seeing as you're bringing this product to the industry, you're saying it's sold very well for you. It looks very sleek. What else can you tell us about the VerseBar Pearl?
Yeah, so the VerseBar Pearl is a 7,500 puff disposable.
Okay.
As I was saying earlier, we know what everybody kind of else is doing. We have those relationships, and we were seeing what works and what doesn't work. So we knew that there was an opportunity, one, to up the puff count, as is kind of industry standard right now.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit off camera earlier about how we had a product that we launched last year.
Yes.
It was actually our first product, and it was a 3,000 puff. We were super excited about it.
Right.
That was actually before I was with the company, so this is all, from the ownership, but we were super pumped with it. And as the product was launching is when that Elf Bar wave came through with the BC 5000.
Yes.
So all of a sudden a 3000 puff was, kind of a little bit left behind already. It was already dated and hadn't even launched yet.
Yes.
So from those industry learnings, we could kind of see where the trend was taking us, and we were able to produce a 7500 puff that's super timely and, more interestingly, very, very well priced.
Okay.
And even more interesting beyond that is the form factor. It just feels beautiful in the hand. I'm going to pull one out of my pocket.
For sure. And just to touch on that as well, you said that you're, if you want to continue speaking on this as well, I can go into the next question afterwards. Was there anything else you wanted to say on the product, how it looks?
Dude, just look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The first thing that I do, so we have a booth at All Pro Expo, which we're super pumped with. It's the VerseBar Pearl booth.
Yep.
And the first thing that I do is just put it in somebody's hand. It just feels nice and sleek, slim.
Yes.
Kind of sexy, the metallic feel on it. It's called the Pearl, so it's got that nice pearlized sort of color to it.
Metallic, yep.
Exactly.
Shiny.
Yeah, and it
Very
comes
cool.
in 10 different flavors, and the flavors are just kind of fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, so just super pumped for
Awesome.
it.
And you said you were kind of new with the company when before you didn't know, you weren't with the company when the first product was released.
That's true.
How new are you to the industry? What can you tell me about that and your journey into the industry?
So it's an interesting question because I'm new to nicotine disposable. I'm new to nicotine in general.
Okay.
But I've been in regulated consumer packaged goods my entire career.
Okay.
I was in liquor for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And then for the last 3.5, almost 4 years, I was in the regulated cannabis space in California.
Okay.
I moved out there in 2018, and I literally just moved back a few months ago, and started working with Vape Ranger. And of course, we've got all the vape business, but we also sell a lot of the alternative products as well. So a lot of the hemp products that we have here, the mushroom products, we also sell. And because of my time in California, I did have a lot of experience around it. I did not have a lot of experience around all the alternative cannabinoids, for example, and of course not with vape specifically, but insofar as regulated products go, it's what I've done my entire career.
And when you were in the regulated space was it in California?
Yeah, in cannabis, yeah.
What kind of things did you see within that space that were trying to hold back the alternative product space, that were trying to hold back the derivatives of the cannabis plant that are legal in certain markets. Was there anything that you saw while you were in that space that you can speak on?
Well, it's a really good question. I mean, so the California cannabis market is going through a really tough time. I hesitate to say that there was maybe even a collapse over the last year.
Okay.
I was certainly working in it when that happened. I was working with a lot of different businesses that had invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of heart into trying to make it happen. On top of that, with a glut of production, an unregulated traditional market. So, for when I started in the cannabis space in California, for every one legal shop, there's 4 illegal stores, or we call them traditional stores, or whatever you want to call them, black market, gray market. And there's this constant pull and push between people that are really investing their entire lives to be participating in this regulated space now. And on the same side, you can hold both and really understand that there's also people trying to make ends meet by opening up a store, selling what they can sell because they believe in the product, they believe in the plan, they don't believe it should be regulated, right?
Right.
So we did contend with that a lot. Like, I really can't be mad for people trying to make a living and sell what they want to sell. And if they don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars to get a license in California, then, or not just the license, the entire process to open up a shop,
Right.
a regulated shop, then I would completely understand why they would go around the regulations and open up a smoke shop and sell alternative products there. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
there was a push and pull. And now, even being in New York, New York recently legalized or went recreational, and it's been a wild ride. Like, for the number of, it's kind of the same thing is happening. There's all these legal shops. Well, there's a few legal shops and a lot of gray market shops.
Yes.
And I'm seeing the same push and pull. I'm seeing all these alternative cannabinoids in the stores, and I totally get why people want to participate in that space. Because why should the plant be regulated? I get
Right.
that. But it is a really interesting conversation when other people are trying to participate and color within the lines, and they're kind of also paying the price at the same time.
Did you see while you were in that space in California, that the regulated cannabis space, that they were trying to stop these alternative cannabinoids from entering that market? So mainly, the dispensaries that are selling this regulated cannabis, they don't want these products to enter the market. Have you seen that? And were there any lobbyists that you know of paying to stop that from happening?
I'll be frank, we didn't see that much of that.
Okay.
Because the constant push and pull was not between regulated cannabinoids or regulated cannabis
Yep.
and alternative products.
Okay.
It was really between business owners, mom and pop shops, small cultivators, people that have been in the industry for 10, 20 years even plus,
Yeah.
pushing against the state to make fix some of the tax codes, the regulations county by county. I mean, it was pardon my French, but it was an absolute shit show. People were really struggling to make ends meet, man. There was a lot of beautiful businesses that I saw open up, and I was there to see them close too because of the shit show that is the California regulated cannabis space. And it had nothing to do with the business owners necessarily. There was a lot of influx of outside money that came in that also did things to harm that process. But
Yes.
Ultimately, the push and pull wasn't between this is real cannabis and this is like alternative cannabinoids. We didn't really see too much of that.
Right.
I did, I guess it was in 2021 when I first found out about Delta 8. There was a product, it was actually a really, really cool product that had cannabis, and they were including Delta 8 in it.
Okay.
And it was selling in regulated stores.
Yeah.
And it kind of blew my mind because there was so much conversation as there is now, like on social media, on LinkedIn, a lot people talking about should this be allowed, shouldn't it be allowed? So we did see that conversation happening, but honestly, the bulk of the conversation is how should the state reform to make, especially taxation and other regulations work for small business owners.
Okay, gotcha. And being new to this side of the industry, the alternative product side, what are some of the things that you have done to get ahead of the curve and start learning processes and just different things that are done within the industry?
Dude, this is not a recommendation for other people necessarily, so talk to your doctor first. But I'm very big on sampling the products that I sell.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier I was in alcohol for a very long time, and I've worked for some companies where I didn't necessarily drink that category. But what I mean by that is maybe you're a beer guy and you would never touch vodka, but then I would go work for a vodka company, and what do you got to do?
You got to try it.
You got to try the stuff.
Yes.
So I would make it a point to fall in love with the products that I sell.
Okay.
right? Because then when I'm selling them, people will believe me because I mean it.
Right.
And that's a very, very different feeling. So I did, this is the First Bar Pearl. It's a nicotine disposable vape. I have tried nicotine vapes. First time I tried was actually at Champs last year.
Okay.
This is a much more interesting show because I think there's so much, feels much more community here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I've had that difference between the show, so I'm actually really excited to be at this one. I tried a couple of stuff that people were just kind of throwing samples at me. This is the first time I tried it. Now here, going around and talking to the different booths, people actually educating me on the products. It's been a lot more fun.
Yes.
But basically, I tried all the nicotine disposable vapes that we sell on VapeRanger.com, or at least any samples that have come through to really educate myself on it.
Right.
As well as the alternative cannabinoids. I had not tried THCP, HHC, THCO. I had tried Delta 8. I had not tried THCA flower.
Yes.
Quote unquote.
Right.
But I've had to try those to really understand what the products are. Now with some mushroom products that we've had, we just did like a group taste test, let's call it, a few weeks back.
Yes.
At home, of course, but not in the office.
Right.
But I really need to understand the products that we sell so I could better sell them and better educate people that are going to have questions, understandably.
100%. And also being so new to the industry, what are you doing to stay in the know of all the restrictions, and what markets are you seeing opening up, and what markets are you seeing that it's going to take some time to have to get into?
So to be fair, I have not even hit my 90th day.
Okay.
So as with anything, I'm the director of sales for Vape Ranger.
Okay.
So there's certain things that I can focus on, and certain things that I cannot. And one of the things that I don't need to focus on is necessarily like what markets are regulated or not regulated where.
Yes.
Because our team is so strong that they've got that handled.
Right.
So it's just not something that I've taken on yet.
So you guys have a legal team that handles all that, and they're up on all, when all the regulate. Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah. So they'll let us know what we can and cannot do in what spaces.
Yes.
So thankfully, I don't need to be an expert on that. What I really need to understand was the people and the product.
Okay.
So that's been my hyper focus for these last 90 days, really ingratiating myself and getting to know my sales team, everybody in the office, and then really understanding our products first.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, I've been in, so one similarity between the California cannabis market and the alternative cannabinoid market, for example, even the disposable vape is also actually very, very similar.
Yes.
Is that these trends happen so much faster in these industries than they would happen in like alcohol or fashion or anything else, right? Like what a trend cycle might take like 18 months to 3 years, maybe in another industry, like in this industry could be 3 months. And in cannabis, I feel like it was like 6 to 9 months. I remember for the first time, for example, like in late 2019 when people started to chatter about putting like terpene profiles on their jars.
Yes.
And most people were still pushing back at that. And you fast forward like a year to 18 months after that, and some of the more mainstream brands were now starting to pick up on that, where a lot of like the smaller products or smaller companies had already been doing that. In this industry, dude, like since I've started, I've seen things like go up and go down. And again, this is like just from an outsider perspective, I still consider myself like I'm just still moving into it. But I've seen like movement on like a Delta 8 for sure has been on the way down. I've already seen that from the outside. But the Delta 9 space now really picking up speed over these last like 2.5 months that I've been in. Like it's just tremendously that THCA flower. And I just see that these cycles happen so much more quickly in this space than any other. So you have to be really on top of it.
Yes.
You have to. And the thing about corporations is like you think that it's a real thing. It's not a real thing. We're all kind of just sitting in the same space. The business is happening in the outside world, so you have to go out there and visit shops. You got to talk to people. You got to talk to your customers and really ask the right questions, because otherwise you're just going to be siloed. So that's what I do. I just ask a lot of questions, honestly. So.
Awesome. And are there any publications, any newsletters that you've been trying to pay attention to, or you're just kind of seeing what products you guys are offering, learning as much as you can about that and about your base?
It's a really good question. So first off, I relied on my team because my team's been in the game at least 10 years.
Okay.
So all my questions have been
Directly
geared towards
based
them.
on them.
Yeah. And I mean like 10 years, like a solid 10 years, from like owning their own shops, a multiple line of shops, to having a distributor in New York prior to the flavor ban, to creating their own products,
Yes.
across multiple categories at that. Right, the Verse is just one product that our company's created in the past.
Yeah.
So we have like an enormous amount of industry knowledge in the office that I haven't really felt too much that I've had to go outside.
Right.
One thing that I do is to peruse I would hesitate to even say like our competition, but other big players in the space.
Yes.
That we really sort of want to model and understand how to be better partners to our retail, smoke shops, distributor partnerships, you know.
Yep.
So seeing what other people are doing well has been really helpful, and kind of truly trying to understand like how they talk about their products and what they do. Vaping 360 has been really helpful. .com. Actually, your magazine's been interesting and very helpful. So you know, we have the magazine in the office. So that was actually pretty helpful from out the gate.
Awesome.
And then outside of that is going to shows like this, man.
Yes.
You know, the beautiful thing is I get to talk to the suppliers out the gate. I get to talk to buyers and consumers as well. So I have a lot of questions, and people think sales is telling is not selling is asking questions.
There it is, and building those relationships. Is there anything else that you want to say to the people about Vape Ranger, about Verse Bar, about Well Versed, before we get out of here?
Dude, just keep an eye out for us, man. Like, we sold out immediately, and it wasn't a fluke. Like, we knew it was gonna sell well because it's our product, right? What we did not understand, it was gonna get reordered at the rate that it did, which is what actually blew out our stock.
Okay.
Like, we sold a bunch of new stores. Of course, it's ours. Like, of course, our sales team's gonna sell it, you know?
Yes.
But we were not expecting that reorder rate, and that absolutely crushed us. So please keep an eye out for it. We're super excited to be here with it, to be with you guys, and check out the next products come out in a few months. You guys are gonna trip. It's gonna be amazing.
There you go. You heard it here first with Carlos, with Vape Ranger, here at the Expo. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Cheers.
Yes, yes.
Brother.
As the industry continues to evolve, so will we, bringing you the latest trends, innovations, and stories from the front lines. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and industry peers to help us spread the word and continue to grow this community. Thank you for being a part of the Alternative Products Podcast.